Hello, I'm Calvin Farr, General Manager and CEO of the Service Authority. I'm here with Dr. Jack Kooyoomjian, also known as Dr. Jack, one of the longest serving members on the Board of Directors here at the Service Authority. We're going to talk about some of the Service Authority's milestone achievements during its first 40 years. So Dr. Jack, I know you're especially passionate about the advances we have made in environmental leadership and sustainable operations. The Service Authority maintains over $1.5 billion in assets, most which are underground. What are some of the big advances you have seen in our operations during the years you have been on the board?
What is most important to me is equipping our field personnel with the knowledge and the tools so that they can be more effective in the field. I remember back in the day when we did not have our assets documented in such a way that they were in people's heads. I can say that some of our staff that, of course, respect all the staff, but some people were walking institutional memory for our collective system that we have in the ground. And we're saying, gee, if so-and-so leaves, what are we going to do? we realized we had to figure out how to institutionalize that in our data system, yes. And so that our employees had the ability to grasp onto that information to make good decisions. And that, to me, I think is a singular most important thing. Equipping our O&M crew to have that knowledge to make sound decisions. And to the point now that they don't have to call in to the head office. They can go on their phone, go on their computers, and they can have that information literally in their hands to make those decisions.
I know environmental leadership is near and dear to your heart. Yes. Compliance and environmental protection is extremely important no matter where you live. And particularly here in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, our treatment standards are very high. And we are so proud of our 100% compliance record. What are some of the advances you've seen in environmental leadership?
At our base, at our core, we're a 100% compliance organization. We are striving toward 5 nines for reliability, for customer service. We have equipped our personnel in the field to have that ability to meet those performance criteria. But the personnel are stewards of the environment. They are in the field. They are our ambassadors in the environment. I guess, too, as a board member, I've come from a background of having worked 40 years at the US EPA in Washington, D.C., and I've worked on regulatory and science issues over the decades. And to me, to see us meet the challenges in the Service Authority for compliance, it's not just understanding that we're compliant with the rules, but we're always trying to do one better. We're always trying to give it our extra measure because we want to do the right thing. And to me, that means that the core values of our organization are embodied in our employees and in the day-to-day work that they do.
What do you think your thoughts about ensuring we have a seat at the table and ensuring our voices are heard, and why it's so important in our role?
In our board vision, we have had a vision that the Service Authority would be a leader in the utility industry. So we do engage with our colleagues in technical conferences. We share our experience with others, and we take a proactive role in reaching out to train our employees and to communicate with other professionals. And for that matter, we also communicate to our citizenry about what we do and why it's important to the average consumer. In this day and age, things become more complicated in life. You've never heard of regulations becoming less complicated and legislative matters going away. They always seem to be more convoluted when we're dealing with an industry that's very heavily regulated. So we need to be proactive. We need to be able to communicate our position to the regulators and also to our colleagues in the industry, so that we're working on solutions that make sense. Because we provide a product that's very important. Clean water is very important to everyone. It's not a Republican or Democratic or liberal or conservative thing. It's a basic need. It's a human need that we all have, to have clean air, clean water. We always work to find solutions that make sense in this regulatory environment. And this is always a challenge, especially as we deal with PFOS, PFOA, pharmaceuticals, microplastics, all these things that we have coming into the environment that we have to deal with to protect our customers from. I need to work with the regulators and our industry colleagues to make sure that we're providing a safe, clean product at a reasonable cost.
What about other programs we have to benefit the environment?
I always say our planned capital investments that we have to replace and rehabilitate our asset ensures that we are protecting water quality and the environment and the quality of life in our community. So the preventive maintenance extends the life of our assets. We have in excess of 60,000 valves in the system. We do valve exercising at appropriate times. We also are fairly aggressive on our inflow and infiltration program, so that we are making sure that we are not having intrusion into our system that we have to treat and that costs us capacity in the treatment plant. And then, of course, we do try to look for innovative solutions to reduce costs. And one of those is the cured-in-place piping. So where we have old piping that's cracked and that's had root intrusion and such, we'll go in and we'll clean out the pipe as best as possible, and then we'll use cured-in-place piping to seal the old piping. Especially in older neighborhoods, this is very cost-effective. And the people, too, the customers appreciate it, that we're not ripping up and putting in trenches and ripping up their old, their mature shrubbery and all of that. Yeah. So we try to be cognizant of that as we go through and look at our assets. And most folks don't care for water tanks, but they've become part of our environment as well. And there are times when, if there's a power failure, general power failure in the area, you can tell the difference in Service Authority versus some other folks that don't have as resilient assets as we do. That we can go a day or so and handle things without having to tell restaurants to shut down and such. We educate our youngsters in the school system, knowing they're going to grow up and be educated customers and consumers. And we want them to know all about what we do, why we do it, and why it's so important.
So, Dr. Jack, I've heard you talk about how important it is for the Service Authority to leverage technology. What are some of the advances you've seen?
Well, I would have to say we use this term asset management, but it means that we are working smarter to figure out where should we put our budgeted dollars to replace infrastructure. We have a lot in the ground. You could say out of sight, out of mind, but not for us. In the utility industry, we need to be very cognizant of what's in the ground and what needs our attention more as a priority over some other matter. We have a lot of infrastructure above ground as well with, pump stations. We have 22 tanks up in the air and 1,200 miles of water and 1,200 miles of sewer pipe. We need to be able to leverage our technology to work smarter so that we're always in front of it in terms of the maintenance and the I&I that's needed. Things like also relining pipes. The cured in place pipe is really great in older communities because we don't disturb the vegetation. We can go in there and reline those pipes and get another 30, 40 years out of the system at a very reasonable cost.
We know there are many milestones you could talk about in terms of the Service Authority, and I really appreciate your time today and also providing some examples of your experience here. We appreciate your service to the organization and our customers here in Prince William County.
Thank you, Calvin. And we appreciate making sure that we're investing in our employees to have a quality workforce and to have them embody the board vision and internalize it so that we are a constantly improving organization. And to have those values internalized by the employees means that we're getting it right.